If you're here for the competition, remember to watch through until the end. Today, it all depends on your perspective. Does life happen to you, for you, or through you? These are often equated to the archetypal victim, survivor, and thriver figures. But what if life happened because of you? There's an idea supported by many great scientists that this reality is a simulation and we're all part of a gigantic multiplayer game. But what if this is not a simulation where you're the observer, but a construct where you're the creator? And what does this mean for what we make or can make of our lives? More on that in a minute, but here's Elon Musk, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Roger Hamilton on the simulation idea to set the scene.
Elon Musk believes we are literally in a simulation, and this is how he explains it.
40 years ago, we had Pong, like two rectangles and a dot. That was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year. And soon we'll have virtual reality, we'll have augmented reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then the games will become indistinguishable from reality. They'll be indistinguishable. Even if that rate of advancement drops by 1,000 from what it is right now, then you just say, okay, well, let's imagine it's 10,000 years in the future, which is nothing in the evolutionary scale. So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be billions of such computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
And when Larry King asked scientist and astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson what he thought about Elon's view, this is what he said.
Like Mr. Musk thinks, are we living in simulation?
I find it hard to argue against that possibility.
Meaning?
Meaning, you look at our computing power today, and you say, I have the power to program a world inside of a computer. Well, imagine in the future where you have even more power than that, and you can create characters that have, for example, free will, or their own perception of free will. So this is a world, and I program in the laws that govern that world. That world will have its own laws of physics and chemistry and biology. Now you're a character in that world and you think you have free will, and you say, I want to invent a computer, so you do. Hey, I want to create a world in my computer. And then that world creates a world in its computer. And then you have simulations all the way down. So now you lay out all these universes and throw a dart. Which of these universes are you most likely to hit? The original one that started it, or the countless simulations, the daughter simulations that unfolded thereafter? You're going to hit one of the simulations. So statistically, based on that argument, which first appeared by a philosopher from Oxford named Nick Bostrom back in the 1990s, right when computers were becoming real enough to think this through, it's hard to argue against the possibility that all of us are not just the creation of some kid in a parent's basement programming up a world for their own entertainment. And then every time something weird happens in the world, some disruptive leader takes charge, and I wonder if that programmer just got bored and had to stir the pot. So they throw somebody in there just for their own entertainment. For me, that's some of the best evidence that we live in a simulation.
As I mentioned earlier, we can look at our lives as just being part of a program that's running, and it's a fait accompli that we have no control over our destiny. But from an individualistic perspective, all reality exists only in your mind. Everything that happens around you is relative to you and your perspective of it. You are the AI, the actual intelligence running your show. So, do you create or consume? What if? And just imagine this for a moment. What if you could create? The idea that you are only the observer could simply be a brawl the culturescape insists we believe, and more on that in the link below. Or it could simply be a misinterpretation of reality.
In the bag was a book. It was the one book Steve carried with him everywhere he went, and he reread the book every year that he was alive. The book is the autobiography of Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. It's a first-hand account of a yogi's journey to self-realization, and it's about waking up from the illusion of Maya, where the subject appears as object, the creatures imagine themselves to be creators. So what is Maya? It's a simulation. In Sanskrit, it means the illusion.
As Don Miguel Ruiz says in his book, The Four Agreements, language is the code for understanding and communication between humans. Every letter, every word in each language is an agreement. We call this a page in a book. The word page is an agreement that we understand. Once we understand the code, our attention is hooked and the energy transferred from one person to another. It was not your choice to speak English. You didn't choose your religion or your moral values. They were already there before you were born. We never had the opportunity to choose what we believe or not to believe. We never chose even the smallest of these agreements. We didn't even choose our own name. As children, we don't have the opportunity to choose our beliefs, but we agreed with the information that was passed to us from the dream of the planet via other humans. The only way to store information is by agreement. The outside dream may hook our attention, but if we don't agree, we don't store that information. As soon as we agree, we believe it, and this is called faith. To have faith is to believe unconditionally. That's how we learn as children. Children believe everything adults say. We agree with them, and our faith is so strong that the belief system controls our whole dream of life. We didn't choose these beliefs, and we may have rebelled against them, but we were not strong enough to win that rebellion. The result is surrender to the beliefs within our agreement. At our current evolutionary level of consciousness, we understand and accept the Creator to be external. God, the Creator, the Architect, Great Spirit, and so on. It's been handed down to us and just accepted. But what if, as our consciousness grows, we gain new insights into how reality works? Much as science evolves to rationalize the ever-expanding worldview, scientific proofs now exist for many things once considered woo-woo, even just a few decades ago.
The final theory Stephen Hawking published before he died is that we live in a holographic universe, where what we see is projected from some other dimension, and our 3D reality is an illusion. Before the Big Bang, there wasn't nothing, there was still space, just no time, until someone pressed the play button. His co-author of his final theory, Belgian cosmologist Professor Thomas Hertog, explains time is fundamentally coming out of some other state for which we have no words.
Stepping back from the existential question of the fabric of reality and returning to the here and now of your experience, your life, on this level, can you see that you do actually create your own reality, even if you don't realize or take responsibility for it? After all, science has proven that everything is relative to the observer.
Rich Terrell, a scientist at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, goes deeper with their hypothesis, showing that the universe is designed more like a simulation than not. We now know with relativity that all reality is relative, and everything, including the rules of time and light, is designed around each observer, just like in a computer game, instead of an objective reality.
Every choice, every word, every thought nudges on the direction of your life like a force acting on an object. Remember your high school physics? And these tiny nudges add up over time. Here's a couple of examples. If you eat a chocolate bar every day, you won't get fat tomorrow, but you might in a few months or years. Or your health may be compromised with an illness such as diabetes. Each bar could nudge you that way. By the same rationale, eating better choices will nudge you back in the direction of health and longevity. Or you choose to be nice in situations instead of being true to your feelings. This gives a short-term effect of keeping everything calm, but your mental health begins to suffer as your boundaries are constantly trampled all over and you have to give more and more of yourself. People may start to abuse your willingness to give, or you may even suffer emotional abuse. You may get passed over for promotion. You may also get depressed or just feel unhappy. Again, this doesn't happen overnight, but slowly with each nudge of niceness. We started out with the idea of a simulation and talked about you being the AI, actual intelligence, at the heart of it all. I hope this unusual approach broke some entrenched thought patterns and helped you expand your ideas about how you can step into the life of your dreams. Now, I'll leave you with this question.
What would you do differently if you were told today we really are in the Matrix?
If you made different choices this week, how do you think your life could be different? Let me know what you'll do differently in the comments. And remember to subscribe for more content like this from me, and drop a like to show YouTube you'd like to see similar content to this from other creators in the future. And I'll link to the full video I referenced below also. And for those of you still here and looking to enter the competition, drop a pumpkin emoji, well, it is Halloween, to enter for lifetime access to the Better Version of Yourself course. And I'll draw a winner next week. Good luck, and thanks for watching. And remember, dream, dare, rise.